Hi, this is Taryn Grome, editor of Pharma Voice. We met with numerous inspirational thought leaders at this year's DIA annual conference as part of our Editors Take video series. I hope you enjoyed this discussion.
In this episode, we have a talk with Kara Dennis, Managing Director of Mobile Health, Medidata. How can equipping patients with sensors, wearables, and apps improve life sciences and specifically clinical trials?
The two most important ways that sensors, wearables, and apps can improve clinical trials, one is better data and ultimately better science. So we hear from customers all the time that existing data collected in clinical research is not sufficiently objective, not sufficiently sensitive, it's not continuous, so there's periods of time in the patient's lives that are missing, and it may not measure all the things that they want to measure. Sleep is one example that we hear about all the time. So empowering scientists and researchers with the better data is one big opportunity. The other is patient engagement. And we hear all the time from customers and directly from patients that they want more information about what's going on with them in the trial. They want to understand their role and responsibilities. They want clarity. They want an understanding of when they're supposed to complete tasks or take their medications. So all of those are areas we're trying to address with our mobile health solutions.
Where are we today with instrumenting patients? What trends are you seeing in the projects you're involved with?
So today, we're still in an exploratory phase. I'd say there's tremendous interest from life sciences companies. So many companies have groups or areas within their organization where there's testing of pilot trials or even moving into phase 1, 2, and 3 trials with sensors or wearables or apps. So we see a lot of exploration. We see a lot of companies looking for a technology solution that works, for operational solutions that work, for more regulatory guidance. So we're not yet in a stage where the guidance is clear and everyone knows exactly what to do. We're testing things and figuring them out.
What do you see as the biggest challenges to widespread adoption of this data and technology?
So the three challenges we always talk about are the operational, technical, and regulatory. And so just to give some examples from an operational perspective, making sure that subjects can put on their device, can take it off, can charge it, know what to do if they lose it, if it requires data to be sent to a phone, making sure they have a phone and they know how to use that and they can download any apps required and so on. So there are those kinds of training-related operational challenges, replacing phones if they fall in the toilet. So those kinds of things become a big deal. On the technical side, all of the data privacy and security elements are really important. So making sure this data can be ingested and stored and processed and managed in a regulatory compliant way is one of the big technical challenges that we work on. And then from a regulatory perspective, making sure that for these trials you know what to submit to, or that sponsors know what to submit to an IRB, that they know what to submit to regulators, that they have a sense of how this data might ultimately become endpoints. Those kinds of things become a really big deal to consider.
What is the most effective path to broad-based adoption of this potential, including gaining regulatory acceptance?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. One, from the Medidata perspective, certainly we feel it's important to have world-class technology to handle the ingestion and management of that data. To be able to take that away as a problem from our sponsors, we think is critically important, because very often when we go into conversations with prospective customers, they're very concerned about the quality and the safety and the reliability of the data, the adherence to eSource, adherence to CFR Part 11, and so on. And so making it so that there's a solution for those problems, I think that's a key towards gaining acceptance. I think from the regulatory perspective, I think companies that are testing these technologies need to have conversations with the FDA about what they're doing, get a better sense of what's acceptable and what's not, because we're hearing pieces of feedback, but my sense is that regulatory agencies, the FDA and otherwise, probably need to see what's going on in order to be informed enough to weigh in with perspective. So my sense is establishing that dialogue and making it a robust dialogue over the next few years is critical.
The introduction of Apple's Research Kit has piqued the interest of many healthcare stakeholders. When do you think clinical trial sponsors and/or CROs should start investing in this technology?
Yeah, it's a great question. The Apple Research Kit comes up in almost every customer conversation we have, and we are really excited about the potential of Research Kit to enable innovative, structured tools for information gathering. We think that's the really exciting element, new and more, maybe more sensitive, more rigorous data. So when, in terms of when companies should start investing, I would say from an exploratory perspective, testing things out, understanding what's possible, it's never too early to get a sense of the lay of the land and the possibilities. And what I advise customers to do is to start thinking about, for the different therapeutic areas that they're focused on, what are the areas where they feel like they would want more data or more insight into what's happening with patients. And then we can start to think about the possibilities that sensors or apps or other tools could bring. But it's almost like, rather than starting from currently accepted endpoints, many of which are terrific and should continue, but just think more expansively about what would you want to gather in a perfect world, and then we can almost work back from there.
For more information on this topic, visit our Thought Leaders website.
For more Editors Take videos from the 2015 DIA Annual Conference, visit www.pharmavoice.com. Thanks for joining us.